friends. So this time we are going to discuss the first order systems once again, but with variable time constants and gains. How this variation comes around is, if we have, let us again focus on this resistance. Earlier, this resistance was a constant resistance. This was a linear resistance in the sense that the F naught was directly proportional to H. This resistance was in a manner that F naught was directly proportional to H. Many times the characteristics of this resistance are not linear. So this F naught is not directly proportional to H, but it is proportional to some raised to power h, that is it can be raised to power 1 by 2, 1 by 3 or 2 by 3, something of that sort. So we will take one example in which we assume that this relationship between f naught and h is given by f naught is equal to beta times under root h. So f naught is proportional to under root h, and of course beta here we have to take it as constant. So if this is the situation, let us model it once again and see whether we get the time constants and the gains which are constant so far, whether they are constant in this case also or not. So what we do, simply we put the value of f naught, and as was the case earlier, what we get is this time we get a into dh by dt plus beta times under root h is equal to fi. So somehow we will try to linearize this beta into under root h in terms of h using some Taylor equation or something of that sort. That's what we're going to see how it turns out to be. So once we linearize this equation around the steady state, then we put it in terms of division variables. This comes out to be, this term comes out to be beta upon 2 times under root hs. I am repeating here, this hs is the level or the height of the liquid in the tank at steady state. This hs is constant. This is at the steady state. So this hs happens to be constant as such, and in division terms this term comes out to be h dash. So this is what the value after linearization comes out at this stage over here. Now with this equation, the whole equation is now modified to this equation, where this hs is the height at the steady state. It depends upon what the steady state level was as such. So what you see over here in division terms, we have to model it, and again as we were doing it earlier, what we are going to do is that I'm going to divide the entire equation by this term. It means that this f dash I will be divided by this term, and that will become kp, and again similarly this a will be divided by this entire term, and that will become tau p. So if you carefully observe, a divided by this term will become tau p, and 1 divided by this term as it comes over here, this will become kp. This is what we see here next. So as I told you that we have a divided by this term. When you divide a by this term, this 2 into under root of hs, it goes in the numerator and this beta comes down. Similarly, in case of this kp, this is 1 divided by this term, means ultimately 2 into under root of hs, it goes in the numerator, and this beta, it comes down in the denominator. So what do you see over here? That a is constant, beta is constant, of course 2 is constant, but this tau p is now dependent on the height or level of the tank. And the level of the tank is changing. It's changing continuously. As it's changing continuously, as you can say that this tau p is also changing continuously, and the value of kp is also changing continuously. So this becomes the first order with variable time constants and variable gain. The gain is also variable, depends upon what is the height of the tank, around what height is are the oscillations or the variations taking place, and around what height are the variations taking place will also determine what is the value of tau p. So this is in terms of deviation variables, and the deviation is to take place around the steady state. So once it's stabilized to the new steady state, the value of time constant again changes, and then there is again disturbance, and again it gets disturbed, and again it stabilizes to another steady state. Then again at the new steady state, the third steady state, the value of tau p and the value of kp will again be different. So every time there is disturbance, every time the system changes from its original state, and every time it stabilizes to a new steady state, and at a new steady state once again you will have a different gain and a different time constant. So this becomes very cumbersome. But before that, you might be wondering, some of you might be wondering, ये आया कहाँ से? How did we linearize this equation? How did we get, it was earlier beta into under root of h, and suddenly from beta into under root of h, how did it come that it becomes beta upon 2, and this under root h goes in the denominator, and instead we have h dash over here? How has this appeared suddenly? Of course, those who know how to linearize, they might be having idea how it comes, but for the uninitiated it's important for me as a teacher to not to assume anything and to clarify once again. There is no harm in repeating even if you know, but I don't want to skip over the things and keep you wondering how it happened. Let's have a look at how this happened in a very simple manner. To linearize this, let's go back to what once upon a time we used to study as Taylor series. So Taylor series used to expand the functions, and for under root of h, once you expand this term beta into under root of h, so this beta anyway is constant, this under root h is expanded as beta into under root of h at t is equal to 0, or what you call it as steady state. Steady state is here at t is equal to 0, plus you have derivative of beta into under root of h at, again h is equal to 0, and here you have the deviation h minus h naught, and so on. And the second term and the third term and the fourth term, we have neglected the second and the third terms because this series will become too long, and moreover the remaining terms will become negligible. So we are taking this approximation only for the first and the second term. So once we take the first and the second term, so what do we get over here? We have approximated beta into under root h as beta into under root of h at t is equal to 0, plus derivative of beta into under root h at h is equal to h naught into h minus h naught, whatsoever is the difference at this point. Now if you take derivative, this beta will come outside the derivative sign, and this, my dear friends, is h raised to power half. And when you take h raised to power half, I think you all must be remembering that h raised to power n, derivative of that is equal to n into h raised to power n minus 1. So this half will come out, this half will come out, and half minus 1 will become minus half. Minus half means 1 upon under root h. H raised to power minus half means 1 upon under root h. So that's what it's going to become in terms of h naught, multiplied by, of course, h minus h naught as we have in the Taylor series. So I think there should be not any doubt in this case how we come to the next point. The next point is that we have retained this beta into under root h as such, and taking the derivative of this, we got this as beta upon 2 under root h at h is equal to h naught. So this becomes another constant as beta upon under root 2 h naught. This h naught is the value of h at steady state into h minus h naught. Now we have to take everything in deviation terms. We have to take everything in deviation terms. So this anyway is a deviation. H minus h naught is deviation. So h minus h naught is nothing but h dash. What about the deviation in something constant? Something which is constant, it's not going to vary at all. So deviation in constant is always 0. So this is what we want to say, that in next step this term will become 0, and this h minus h naught, this term will become, as you have seen, over h dash. So ultimately this term which was earlier beta into under root h, this beta into under root h, this term ultimately will become this term this entire thing over here. As you have seen, we have gone through the Taylor series, and once again I may tell you that this term is constant, and being constant, the deviation in this will be 0, and this term is already in terms of as you see deviation. So this h minus h naught is nothing but h dash. That's how we came over to this equation. But the thing to be noted here is that the time constant and the gain, they are not constant, rather they depend upon the steady state value of the level, and the level keeps on changing every time there is a disturbance, every time it settles to a new steady state, and the new steady state has a new hs, and the new hs has a new time constant, and it has a new gain. So how to overcome this situation? The answer is we go in for adaptive controls. Let us see how. So we can assume that such systems, they possess time constants, and the static gains, they are constant only for a limited period of time. So at the end of such a period, when the disturbance is over and everything is over, everything settles down, we have a value of tau p and kp, and we can assume them to be constant around that time. These are the new first order systems. Once it changes, the tau p also changes and the kp also changes. We go to the new order system with the new tau p and the new kp, and then again we wait for the whole thing. If it is oscillating around the same point, little bit above and then nothing matters. But of course, if there's a bigger change and there's a bigger disturbance and the bigger settlement takes place, and the new steady state is little different from the older steady states, then again we will have a new tau p and a new kp, and the new kp and the new tau p will be little different from the older tp and older kp and the older tau p's. So as such, if we see that every time it acquires a new steady state, every time it has a new tau p, every time it has a new kp, we have to go on changing the model. We have to go on changing the model, and as such the model has to adapt itself to the new operating conditions. So we have to go in for an adaptive procedure which can be used successfully if the time constant and the static gain of the process, they change slowly, one by one, slowly, in which case the time period of relatively constant values is rather long. So that's what we are going to go in for in this situation. That's how we tackle with this situation. So that's how we have seen that we do have systems where the time constants and gains are not constant, rather they are variable. So in that case we go in for these kind of adaptive procedures. So this was just to give you a kind of background for why do we go in for adaptive procedures. This is one reason we go in for adaptive procedures, where the time constants and the gains are not constant. Friends, this was about the last session about the first order systems and their modeling, in the sense that we go in for the adaptive procedures. In case you have any doubts, you can contact me through Zooms or whatsoever methods that might be available at that moment of time. I thank you for being with me. I wish you a safe stay and enjoy learning. Bye bye.